question and answer session on visa questions. Thank you for joining us, and thanks for all the questions that you've sent into us ahead of time for this session. We'll do our best to address as many as possible in this half hour that's coming up, but also keep sending them in, so we'll be happy to address as many as we can. My name is Daniela Zadrozny, and I am the Consular Chief here at the U.S. Consulate General in Dubai, and I'm joined today by Kristen Stolt, who is our non-immigrant visa chief in Dubai. And I think I'll start with one of the most frequently asked questions that we receive all the time from our customers, and that's about what's going on with non-immigrant visa appointments these days. If you've tried to make an appointment recently, you probably noticed, especially here in the UAE, there's quite a significant wait for especially tourist visas. So let me explain a little bit about why that is and what we're doing about it. All of this stems back from the COVID-19 pandemic. During the pandemic, the Department of State's capacity to process visas was profoundly reduced. We were unable to process more than just emergency services at the beginning, and some of our colleagues around the world are still facing restrictions. And of course, part of the restrictions and capacity is that many of us, like here in Dubai, are having staffing issues. So we're trying our best to maximize our resources, but that's why there's such a significant backlog these days, and that's why the wait times, especially for tourist visas, are lengthy. Now, we here in Dubai have been operating in our offices since August 2020, but in the beginning, like I said, there was super reduced capacity, and we were really only able to do absolute emergencies. Now, we're all back to almost full capacity based on our staffing. We're not completely fully staffed yet, but we're working on that. But we are doing our absolute best to maximize our capacity, look at our resources, look at our operations, look at our workflows to find all the efficiencies that we can to add more appointments when we can. So if you have an appointment and it's way out, please keep checking back. People change their plans, people cancel appointments. We're adding capacity whenever we can. So please keep an eye on that, and hopefully we'll start chipping away at this backlog in the next few months, but it's going to take us a while to get back to what things were like before the pandemic. Now, also, when we first came back with more capacity after all the lockdowns, we were mandated to start with certain priority cases first. So if you look at all the numbers that are out there, you'll see that we've processed an enormous amount of student visas, for example, in the last year. In fact, it's in the last year we've issued more we processed more student visas than in years before the pandemic, twice as many almost. So in certain categories, we've been really trying to make sure, especially for students, to get them to their programs in time. Other things, important business travel, government travel, airline travel, we try to prioritize some of these visa categories. So in many categories, the wait is not as significant, but for tourist travel, unfortunately, we're still working on that. But hang in there, be patient with us, we'll get there. Now, this applies mostly to first-time applicants. If you have had a visa in the past, there's some other options that we'll explain to you in a minute. But for first-time travelers, that's what you're facing in terms of the backlog and the wait. If you think you might be traveling or want to travel to the United States, but you're not sure of your plans yet, please just go ahead and apply now. Get everything sorted, and that'll take away from the stress and travel. Don't book anything yet, but book your appointments, get your applications in, and then monitor the application appointments and see if we can get you in earlier, and then at least you're ready, and that'll take away a little bit of the stress of getting the U.S. travel sorted. We want you to go to the U.S. We're really excited for you all to go back. So we will do what we can to make this happen. And I think, let's talk a little bit about what options there are if you do have either urgent travel or if you've had a visa in the past before.
So, thank you, Danny. As you pointed out that it's best to plan ahead for your travel so that way you don't have the stress of having to make last minute arrangements to get your visa. But if you do have urgent priority travel, such as medical treatment in the United States, urgent business meetings or conferences, starting your student program at university, you can send a request for an expedited appointment. We do not schedule these by email, so please do not email about these. You need to go through the website where you made your visa appointment account. You have to schedule an appointment first for any available day. It doesn't matter if it's 2 years from now. Once you have that scheduled, then you submit a request for an expedite. Please be super clear and as detailed as you can be in the expedite request as to why your travel is urgent, because if it's not there, we don't know and we might not be able to approve it. Sometimes people will write that they have to go for business travel or medical travel, and that's not enough of an explanation. We need to know what it is that you really need to go for. Additionally, if you already have had a visa and you don't have the time to wait, or you don't have the time to go to the consulate, wait in line, do the interview, what you can do is apply through the interview waiver program. There are certain people who can qualify for this. Those who are pretty much always eligible are children who are under 14 years old or elderly people who are 80 years and older. Also, if you have had a visa in the past and the visa is either still valid or it expired within the last 48 months, you may be able to take advantage of our renewal by mail option. This is generally when you're applying for the same visa class. So if you had a B1, B2 visa that was issued in 2010 and expired in 2020, this would be something that you'd want to check out. We do keep the passport while we're processing it, and wait times vary. But this is an option if you don't have travel that's immediate, and this way you don't have to use your morning to come in for an interview. That's the easiest process, and you can switch if you already have an interview scheduled but you'd rather do interview waiver. You can request to have your appointment changed to interview waiver instead by contacting the help desk for the website where you scheduled your appointment.
Great, thanks for that. Yeah, so we encourage everybody to take advantage of the basically renewal by mail option that we established, because obviously it saves your time and it makes processing on our end easier, and we can get more people processed that way. So if that option comes up for you, if that's something you can consider, please, we encourage you to do that. And I just want to stress again, please apply early. Please give us as much information in your applications as you possibly can. Make sure that your application forms are filled in completely and accurately. If we end up with any questions or there's discrepancies, they'll just delay the process. So the more you can do on the front end to make it easy for us, we would really appreciate it, because we want to get as many of you on those planes and to the United States and to enjoy what we have to offer as possible. Now, another question that comes up a lot and that we had a lot of submissions for concerns administrative processing. So this is something that obviously is possible, that might happen to some travelers. We take national security extremely seriously when we're adjudicating visa applications, and every prospective traveler to the United States is extensively screened for security purposes. So that means some applicants will require additional assessments to determine whether they're eligible for the visa. This is what falls under administrative processing, and several steps may be taken on our end that don't involve you and that are not really visible, but this may happen to you, and it can be triggered by various factors. So, and some of them are predictable, some not so much, even for us. So just be prepared for the possibility that this may happen, that we may have additional questions or that there's additional processing, that it may be anything from needing additional documents from you or additional information. And just apply early enough so that any kind of delay and additional processing doesn't interfere with your travel plans. We really cannot predict how long it will take. The duration of the processing depends on the individual circumstances of each case, so it's really hard for us to make any generalizations, which is why we say please come to us as soon as possible, as well prepared as you possibly can. If we ask you to submit additional information, please do that as quickly as you can. Monitor your emails, make sure to check your junk email box so you don't miss anything, and send us the information as quickly as possible. Any delays on that, again, will delay the overall processing and makes it harder for us also to continue with the workflow. So the more you can send us and the more accurate the information is, the better. Now, we aim to reduce the time for required processing, and there's a lot of initiatives going on with that, but at this point there's no way to, again, predict the timing or to eliminate it altogether. So just be prepared for that possibility and be ready to send more information. Now, once you have your application with us and you're waiting for the administrative processing to be completed, you can check on our website under the siac.state.gov tracker to see what the status of your application is. But also trust us that as soon as we're able to continue processing your case, we will be in touch. We will not forget. We monitor our incoming cases all the time, and I promise you we are in touch as soon as we get any information and we can get you your application completed. So I think that's all the pertinent information for processing, right? We have a dedicated email address to submit information that we will give you at the time of the interview if this becomes an issue for your case. So just trust in the process and believe that we are just as invested in getting you going as you are.
So I did notice one of the questions up there where somebody had said they emailed us at the US Visa Dubai at state.gov email address. And they've emailed us multiple times and they keep getting the auto reply as the response and no individual reply for them. That means that we consider that your question is fully answered by our auto reply, particularly for individuals whose cases are under administrative processing, which Danny just talked about. We contact you as soon as that is over. If your case is still under administrative processing and we do not need additional documentation from you, the only thing we will tell you is that your case is refused under Section 221G of the Immigration and Nationality Act for administrative processing, and that we will contact you at the end of that. So if you have not received an email from us with the results of the administrative processing clearly stated that that's what's in the email, means we don't have anything for you at this time and that we are still working on your case. I understand the frustration you feel about this because you want to know, you want to travel, you want to do whatever is needed so the visa can be issued. But please just understand, we want to get these visas out. We want to make sure that everybody who applies gets an answer and gets to make their travel as needed. So please just trust that we are contacting you as soon as we can continue processing your applications. So I think this would be a good time to talk a little bit about INA Section 221G.
Okay.
What exactly that means. Is it a refusal?
Right. So going back a little bit for a little bit of information is according to our guidelines and laws on immigration and visa applications, a visa application once submitted to us has to, at the end of the interview, has to be placed into one of two statuses. Either it's approved or it's refused. So when we say congratulations, pick up your visa on Monday, when it's processed, or we will put it back in the mail to you, obviously that's approved, that's great news. But what if we have to place your application into a refusal status? That could obviously mean various things. It could mean either you didn't overcome the immigrant intent clause, 214B, which I can explain separately in a minute, or there was a different reason why you may be permanently ineligible to come, or there's an issue that we need to overcome first that may be available for waiver processing, or most commonly, it is the 2-to-1G refusal. Now, the 2-to-1G is, yes, it's a refusal, but it's not a permanent refusal. It means that we're not quite done, that either there's administrative processing or we need additional information from you. So if you see that you've been refused under clause 2-to-1G, don't panic. We're not done. There's more coming, and we're working on this, and we will tell you exactly what is needed from you in order to complete processing on that case. Now, if we refused you 214B, then for this particular application, we're done and processing has been complete. The officer has made his or her decision, but of course it doesn't mean you cannot apply again in the future. Usually what 214B means is that you were unable to overcome the intent of the immigrant intent clause, that you were not able to demonstrate that at the conclusion of your purpose of travel that you were returning to your home country. Now, if in the future your situation changes significantly, your employment status changes, your student status changes, or something in your life changes, please feel free to apply again. We look at applications as a giant big picture, and it's the totality of your situation that leads us to our decision. So if there's a significant change since the last time you applied and you were refused, then if the change now makes more sense and we believe that, yeah, of course you're coming back, or there's no question in our minds, then the decision may be different. If you come back a week later and nothing has changed, chances are that the decision will be the same, because we all adjudicate on the same criteria.
So that was one of the questions we had. One of our viewers had asked, or had said that they'd been refused a visa 5 years ago. Looks like it was a B1, B2 they applied for. So what would you suggest when they schedule another interview? What would you suggest that they do? Well,
first of all, I urge you to be fully apparent in your application. Yet absolutely list that you were refused before. We don't prejudice against that. It's just one piece of the information that we look at when you apply. And then when you come back to the interview and you're with the officer and you're having your conversation about your purpose, very clearly state your purpose of travel and very clearly state, okay, this is my situation now, and here is why I have invested reasons to come back after the conclusion of my trip. Just be honest. It's better to disclose everything up front. Once the officer has a complete picture and no doubts in their mind, chances are that it'll be a positive decision.
Now, does that mean they should bring different documents?
No. So that's one of the big misconceptions that we see in our application pool. We don't really use documentation for our decisions. So whether or not you have an invitation letter from the company that you're going to visit, or a bank statement, or anything like that, we may look at it, we may not. It's not really part of our decision-making process, and we actually encourage you not to bring any paper, because if we need anything specific from you in terms of documentation, we will give you a chance to submit it afterwards if we really need it. Chances are we won't, and we put more importance and more weight on the conversation we're having at the interview. And that's where you need to put your focus. Tell us what you're planning to do. Tell us why it makes sense. Tell us why you can afford it. Tell us what will bring you home. That's way more important than any piece of paper. And like I said, if we need it, we'll ask for it and we'll give you a chance to submit it to us.
And kind of following up on that, somebody had asked if we have Arabic translators available. We do have people on our staff who are able to interpret Arabic. So if you cannot speak English, or you're way more comfortable with Arabic, please let us know and we can have that happen. We also have Farsi speakers on staff. So again, this is just let us know that you are not able to do the interview in English, and a Farsi speaker will be able to assist. Now, if Arabic, Farsi, or English are not your native language, say that you are a Mandarin speaker or a Russian speaker, you should bring someone with you who can translate for you. We will accept your application, but it is on you to make sure that you have someone who can translate for you. The best thing to do is to let us know this ahead of time by emailing us at usvisadubai@state.gov. and saying that you have an appointment on such and such a day and that someone will be coming with you to help with interpretation, please provide that person's name so that way we know when you come that someone else is going to be with you.
And this is not unusual, so don't feel shy about sending us that information. We will accommodate as much as we can to make sure that you're comfortable during your interview. The interviews are not designed to catch you out. We're not trying to trick anyone, and we're invested in making sure that we really understand your situation. So if you're not comfortable in the language, please bring someone with you to help you through that, and we will accommodate that as best as we can.
Okay, so someone's asking about an appointment they have on September 26th. It looks like it's for a B1, B2 visa for a business trip, and they need to travel by October 14th. What are your thoughts on that turnaround time? What happens when a visa is approved?
Yeah, so what happens on the day of your interview, right? So you've come into us on your appointment day, you've had your interview, and the officer tells you, great, it's approved. We will return the visa to you as in the mail. Assuming that you submitted it through the M-Post process with us. So what happens then is, because we have some systems checks that need to be cleared, usually it takes us a day or two to be able to print the visa and then to put it in your passport. And we usually do that the following business day. So if you come on a Thursday, we'll probably print the thing on a Friday and put it into the mail that same day. If it's on a Friday, then obviously this won't happen until Monday. But you should be able to expect us to get the visa printed and into the mail within a day or two, and then it'll take another day or two to get the visa back through the mail service that you signed up for. So yes, it's perfectly reasonable to expect that if you have a 26th September appointment, that you'll be able to travel by the 14th. Now, if it comes up that you have really, really urgent travel, and say you needed to travel on the 28th, of September after you come in for the 26th, if you let us know, we can try. We can't guarantee it because, again, the system, if we can't clear everything in time, we are actually physically unable to print the visa. But if we can, we will do it for you, and then the officer will authorize you to come in person to pick up the visa on a given date and time that you'll be advised to do. We try that, but obviously, if you can give us more time to do the processing, that's better. But if it's an absolutely urgent trip and you absolutely must go, and we will give it a shot. Again, I can't 100% guarantee it because, technology is what it is, and sometimes it's not our friend. So, but if we can do it, we will make it happen. So, again, don't be shy to ask, and ask the officer at the time of, your interview to see what might be possible.
I've seen a few people have questions about IVs. Is there anything you can say about those?
Yeah, so that's a very common problem. Obviously, here in Dubai, we do not process IV applications. Immigrant visas and DV visas are processed by our colleagues in Abu Dhabi. And the IV and DV appointments were affected by the COVID-19 pandemic just as non-immigrant visas were. We had to stop processing for a while, and then by the time we were back in the office, unprecedented demand and backlogs had developed. So our colleagues in all the IV units around the world have been working incredibly hard to try and get through all the pent-up demand and all the people who've been waiting. And I talk to our colleagues in Abu Dhabi all the time, and I can assure you they have been scheduling all categories of IVs since we've been back in the office, including DV cases and including all of the priority cases. Obviously, there's a balance to be had, so they can't go ahead and schedule everyone in one category. There is a balance so that everybody can benefit from this. Specifically on DVs, they're usually scheduled about a month or two in advance. And I've been assured that Abu Dhabi has scheduled as much as they can in terms of DVs until the end of September, right to the end of the program. And they're also keeping a very close eye on applicants who tell them that they're unable to come to a scheduled appointment so that they can fill that slot immediately with somebody else who's still waiting. So please be patient if you're still waiting for an appointment. Again, I can't make any guarantees, but they are working very hard to try and accommodate as many people as possible before the program ends. And then in all other categories to make sure that there's a balance and all of the categories are being moved forward. This is also a staffing issue. It's something that we're all working on, and we're trying to make this work worldwide. And So option for you might be that if you started applying here, but you may no longer be resident here, ask the immigrant visa unit in the place where you're resident if they might accept your case instead. That's an option if you've moved and you want to see if there's a better way to go forward. They may have more capacity than us, but from their side, they're working really hard to try and get as many people in the door and processed before the program ends at the end of September. And like I said, all of the priority categories and all the other categories are being scheduled just in a balanced way.
Okay, so a couple questions here about non-immigrant visas. Somebody is asking if they're able to apply with a Syrian travel document as they are Palestinian. Just wanted to say for this, we see this frequently with our Palestinian applicants, that they'll have a travel document, not a passport, from countries such as Jordan. Syria is a common one. There are a few others. We do accept them, and if there is an issue with your travel document, we will tell you that at the time of the interview. Another question that I saw was asking about if someone has been contacted by us to submit their passport for visa issuance, how long do they have to do that? Generally, you have a year to do that, but I don't take that as the only answer. Sometimes people have to submit their passport earlier for visa issuance. If their case was under administrative processing, for example, there might be a limited amount of time in which the visa can be issued. So when you are contacted to submit your passport, please do so as quickly as possible.
And if there's any reason why you can't send it in quickly, email us telling us that I'm on a trip right now, or I'm unable to submit it until this date, and I will as soon as I get back, and that's perfectly fine with us. But again, there may be limitations on what we can do, so don't miss the chance of getting that visa issued and having it delayed and having us repeat a process because there's a limited validity on the issuance guidelines. I saw a question earlier about basically what's reciprocity. Somebody was asking for my every time I come in, I'm issued a visa with 1 entry 3 months validity. Is there something that you can do that I can do to extend the validity? And the quick answer to that is no, not really. Depending on what nationality you are, the U.S. and your home country have reciprocal agreements. So basically, it's a country-to-country, government-to-government decision on how much reciprocity and validity of the visa length we give each other. So there's nothing we can do here to change that. So if the reciprocity is 1 in 3 months, that's what we do. We generally issue the maximum that's possible because it saves us work, right? If you are able to get a 10-year visa, then great, we won't see you for 10 years. That's wonderful for us because we have less work. But we cannot arbitrarily extend the reciprocity of visas. That's not something that's within our authority. So, but check back, and these things change often. So check back and don't be shy to ask. We're happy to tell you what the current validity is.
And to follow that up a little, we see a lot of families here where the parents are different nationalities. For example, seen an Indian national husband. He got a 10-year visa, B1, B2, because that's the reciprocity. And his wife, I believe, was from Kazakhstan, and they only have 1 year reciprocity for B1, B2s. And we just aren't able to extend hers. We don't have that authority.
Okay. So I've been given the sign that we're almost done. So I just wanted to remind everybody of how to contact us. For Dubai non-immigrant visas, if you have questions, please email us at usvisadubai@state.gov. Our colleagues in Abu Dhabi can be reached at abudhabiniv@state.gov for non-immigrant visa questions and abudhabiiv@state.gov for immigrant visa related questions. That is the best way to get in touch with us. We don't have the resources to answer phones, and we will get back to you. But please also remember to read the entire automated reply because your answer may be in there already. So I thank you very much for your time today. We will send more information on future outreach soon, and we hope we managed to answer some of your questions at least today.